Welcome back. August 2021. Here we are. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all enjoying the outdoors and freedom around the world. Enjoying a summertime in the Northern Hemisphere. It's since I last made a video, I've been in lockdown back again for 3 weeks now here in Australia and New Zealand. So yeah, the numbers aren't really going down, and the Delta variant is quite a bit more serious. So yeah, 3 weeks has been full on. But yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. I just watched Fred's Dig It 3 video where he shows, I guess, bits of his house and bits of his collection with a really cool soundtrack. It made me miss hanging out with those guys, and I actually was lucky enough to go to Fred's house and hang out there several times. And I had some very special memories there, so that was really warming to see. It was a really cool video. He's got an amazing space, and it was always super cool just to hang out there and listen to music and eat some amazing food. So yeah, I guess feeling very locked down is the way to put it. It has been sunny for 3 days in a row here, and we're getting touches of spring coming through, which is really nice. At the moment, we're locked down, and basically the only thing we could do, actually, as of yesterday, the Uber Eats and takeaway food was open, but for the previous 3 weeks, the only thing open was a supermarket. So all we could do was go for a run or a walk, or go to the supermarket. Yeah, so it's been a strange one. But anyway, I have acquired some vinyl, of course. Some of these I got before lockdown. Some of them have arrived in the mail since. But yeah, I think there's about 6 records here. And weirdly, 4 of them are from 1975, I think. Green tea, microphone on. Let's go. Okay, the first one here we have is Azar Lawrence Summer Solstice. Summer Solstice. There we go. The first thing when I posted the photo of this on one of the vinyl groups is I made a joke that that's definitely going to be my next tattoo, right on the back, full size there. Azar Lawrence's album covers for me are notoriously pretty terrible. Look at that. But as from the music, this is absolutely wonderful. It came out on Prestige in 1975. This is a Japanese pressing from 75. It's essentially a Latin jazz fusion record, I would say. It feels very summery, very breezy, very groovy. It manages to mix like I guess a blend of like laid back Latin breeziness, but with some like hard fusion elements. Like it's kind of a really nice balance between that. It does remind me more so of the Tyner albums that he was on Milestone, Atlantis, and God, what was the other one? He was on 2, wasn't he? Oh, and Sam Alika. They kind of feel a bit more like that. Yeah, I guess Latin jazz fusion. I guess it's quite different from Bridge into the New Age, which to me reminds me more of like a spacier version. Or it's more like, it reminds me more like a Black Jazz release, or maybe more specifically the Doug Kahn Black Jazz releases with Gene Kahn on vocals, where this is definitely more fusion, more Latin. Definitely sounds more like a Milestone release to me. Yeah, really beautiful. Ron Carter gets a special mention on here because he does some really beautiful bass playing. And someone I haven't heard of before, which is Raul de Souza, which is probably pronounced incorrectly, on trombone, which weirdly adds a really nice touch to it. And also the acoustic guitars are really beautiful on here too. Yeah, definitely worth checking out. Azar Lawrence. Okay. One that I should have had a long time ago and I hadn't. This is Stanley Cowell, Brilliant Circles. This is also a Japanese Prestige pressing. Now, you may have seen the later press on Arista. Is it Arista? Yeah, Arista with the crazy like disco cover, and he's in like the space bubbles. It kind of looks like a Herbie Hancock album cover kind of thing. This is the original, which is quite a different look and feel. I would say this cover is more like what the music sounds like. I guess it's halfway between like hard bop and avant-garde. There's lots of really advanced piano compositions. It's very, I guess, maybe technical. I don't know. It's head jazz rather than feeling jazz. It's a pretty tough listen. The title, obviously, Brilliant Circles, relates to Thelonious Monk, the late great Brilliant Corners. But yeah, I do actually really like this cover. I was always trying to angle for the other version, but once this arrived and I saw how actually some really nice thick sort of brown card, it looks beautiful, and I think I actually prefer it. But yeah, this is really wonderful. Yeah, I guess moody and spacey. You have an absolutely fantastic lineup on here. Stanley Cowell, Woody Shaw, Tyrone Washington, Bobby Hutcherson, Reggie Workman, and Joe Chambers on drums. Yeah, very good. It's not a head nogger. God, I'm really a head nodder, but it is it is worth time and investment, and it pays off for me after about the fourth or fifth listen. But yeah, really, really great. Super, super interesting. We're going to go over to the UK. This is a 2021 release from an artist that I've talked about many times over many years. He's actually from Wellington in New Zealand here, but he moved to the UK just before COVID hit. Myele Manzanza's new release. This is fully recorded and produced in London, in England, obviously, with a whole cast of UK jazz people. So you've got probably the big name on here you would know is Ashley Henry, who is an amazing, really cool piano player. Check out his stuff on Jazz Refreshed. I really like it. And I think it's the tenor saxophone player is George Crowley, who is in Yaz Ahmed. You've also got Mark de Clave-Low playing synthesizers on here as well. So this is his fourth full-length album, named Crisis and Opportunity. The title references obviously arriving in the UK, ready to sort of move into the next phase of his career, and COVID hitting. So there's lots of themes around that. I say this about every release he puts out, but this really is, for me, his best yet. He's really grown again, and having UK musicians around him, the style has changed again completely. His previous releases have been a lot more, I guess, technical and a bit showy and kind of advanced compositions. This breathes a lot more. The tracks are a bit longer. There's some really beautiful moments. I really love the track Brixton Blues, which sounds wonderful. It just, when I listen to it, I can imagine walking around Brixton on a cold winter's morning when no one's around. Yeah, it has a really wonderful feeling to it. Yeah, so this is kind of an ode to London, I guess. You have tracks, Brixton Blues, Portobello, Superhero, Racing Portobello Road. There's a track just called London. Yeah, it's really wonderful. Yeah, and it's really cool to see someone from here going over there and really doing that. He's played with Alpha Mist over there. I've seen some clips of him on Instagram playing with Shabaka Hutchins. He recently played at the We Out Here festival that Giles Peterson just put on. Yes, I'm really excited and I guess really proud that he's gone over there and he's done something like this. You know, it's super great. All right, we're going to jump back to 1975, but I want to have a sip of tea first. Okay, Sonny Fortune Awakening. Now this is, for me, the definition of cheap heat. For some reason, I just never come across a copy. I think this is really amazing. The title track, which is on, I think the last track on side 2, just called Awakening, absolutely blew my mind when I first heard it on YouTube many years ago. Yeah, it's really wonderful. I guess, yeah, it sounds like it should be on Strata East, and it has people who play on Strata East records. You've got like Charles Sullivan, John Hicks, the piano player, Reggie Workman, Billy Hart. Yeah, it's just I guess you would call it deep jazz, deep spiritual jazz. Lots of flutes and percussion, really driving bass. Yeah, I love it. It's really, really great. And if that isn't enough to sell you, it has an amazing 16-minute rendition of, 10-minute rendition of Nomo, written by Jamie Merrick and made famous by, or I consider that track guess a Max Roach track, or he's played it many times. Yeah, but it's really beautiful. I think that's correct. I'm pretty sure Jamie Merritt wrote it, and Max Roach played it a lot. Anyway, yeah, really, really great. If you live in New Zealand, there's a copy of this on Trade Me, which is kind of like our local eBay for $10, and nobody has bought it, and I can't believe it, because they really should. I think this is wonderful. Look at that for a gatefold. Anyway, this is on the A&M Horizon label, as you can probably tell if you know the label, because they always do these weird gatefolds on the inside. And I do really love that cover. Sunny Fortune Awakening. His other ones on the same label are just as good. I don't have them, but I wouldn't mind if I saw them cheap. Okay, we're getting away. I think there's one more jazz, and then the next two aren't after that. This is kind of a weird one. One that I didn't know, but I could tell it was going to be cool, basically, from when I saw it. This is Nelson, Angelo, and Joyce. I knew Joyce, obviously. I hadn't heard of Nelson, Angelo. I picked this up in a local store just before lockdown. I did some research in the store and found out this is not an original, which would go for over $1,000, but this is kind of an unknown bootleg version of it. This is essentially a dreamy psyche folk. It's not really psyche folk MPB record, I guess. Maybe psych's a bit of a stretch, but it sounds like a more minimal version of Clube de Esquina by Milton Nascimento. Yeah, it kind of is dreamy, folky. These two are a couple, so it feels very intimate in parts. Some really wonderful, beautiful orchestration. And the songwriting is really wonderful. I do really like this. I'm just really annoyed because this is an absolutely terrible quality bootleg. Every time, like the vocals have like a hiss on them. It sounds really compressed, which is a shame. I'm almost thinking about moving it along because I know every time I play it, I'll just get annoyed. Like it's just doesn't even sound average. It just sounds really poor. I don't know how to describe it. It's just a shame because the music is so vibrant and so lovely, and the strings should soar and the music should jump out and the guitars should sound really clean and natural. It just sounds like crap, which is a shame. But in saying that, I am glad to have discovered this album. This piece of music is really lovely. So yeah, to be continued with this one. The thing I do find interesting, which I quite like, is at the time of recording, these two were a couple. They broke up after the album, but the album starts off very summery, very happy, very optimistic, and sort of towards the end, it starts to get a bit darker and a bit deeper. And yeah, I don't know if that was on purpose, but it almost feels like a transition from summer into winter. Yeah, it's very interesting. If anyone else knows this album, please let me know because I didn't know much about it at the time. But it's absolutely worth a listen. I think it might be on YouTube. Obviously, this was on Odeon in 1972. That's the label, which is always a mark of pretty good quality. This has been reissued by, I want to say, Polisson a few years ago, but that immediately sold out and prices went up on it too. Okay, what have we got? Two more. One that, if you've been around the VC for years, this would have been talked about many, many times from many different members. It took me ages to get a copy as well. For the price I wanted to pay, this is John Abercrombie, Dave Holland, and Jack DeJohnette, Gateway. Absolutely wonderful ECM. I love the cover. I love the feeling. It kind of sounds like the cover, I guess. The track Backwards Song reminds me of like being on a rainy day in a forest, in a log cabin. It's kind of jazzy, it's kind of bluesy, it's kind of ethereal. Yeah, the bass is really warm. Yeah, I guess John Abercrombie is kind of playing. It's slightly more bluesy. I wouldn't say bluesy. Yeah, I'd say it's slightly more bluesy. And Jack DeJohnette just has this really big, warm bass sound that sits underneath it. It's a very ethereal, atmospheric jazz record. It's a jazz fusion record. But yeah, all I can say is it sounds like the wonderful cover to me. I was listening to it on a really rainy evening, and it was just, yeah, it was kind of blowing my mind, to be honest. I loved it. The track Unshielded Desire on side 2 is probably the exception. It's a very rapid fire, punchy, aggressive song. The rest is definitely more ethereal and atmospheric. Absolutely wonderful. I'm really happy to finally get a copy. It took me a long time. There's a sticker on here. This came from the Princeton Record Exchange. Interesting. I bought this from a store here. That's so satisfying. All right, I've got one more, and for me personally, I'm saving the best for last. I don't think this will mean much to a lot of people unless you're a long-time viewer. This is the missing piece of the puzzle that I've needed from the Wellington experimental label Braille. This is David Watson reference. I'm really, really happy to get this. I found it at a local store who was selling a whole bunch of really cool rare stuff. Yeah, this is kind of the last piece I needed. There's kind of four essential Braille records you need, and this is one that was missing, which is truly a rare piece. Yeah, I've never seen a copy. There's hardly any ever. Like the last one that ever sold on the internet was in 2015. I was going to give up on ever getting a copy of this. Wonderful screen printed. Like this cover is really beautiful. Yeah, and musically, I guess it's noisy, experimental, droney, tape loops. It's definitely, the other releases are way more jazzy. This is definitely sits more in a drone sort of electronic space. It's quite ahead of its time considering it's 1986. I did read a review on the internet and it was sort of talking about this as sort of like proto New Zealand noise in a way. They're doing some very experimental stuff. But yeah, I am really, really over the moon. Didn't think I'd ever get a copy of this. Yeah, absolutely beautiful. This is all done by David Watson. All instrumentation is put together by him, all composed by him. Yeah, there you go. So I kind of raced through that, but we got it all done. I don't know why I spoke so fast. I'm sorry about that. I just kind of started speaking and kept going. Yeah, I've been watching videos every now and again. Admittedly, not nearly as much as I used to do, or I don't feel like I'm as involved in the VC as much as I used to be anymore. I don't really have any reason for that. But yeah, there's certain people that I definitely watch every now and again, or when I can. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, stay safe, stay well. Hopefully the next time I make a video, I'll be out of lockdown. I'm dying to travel. I'm dying to come around and go to America. I want to go to Japan. I want to go back to Australia. I'm just, feeling very... I'm very grateful to be in New Zealand, of course. We had almost a year and a half of no lockdowns. But it's a small country, and I live in a smaller town. And it can feel very small sometimes. That's all. All right. Thank you.